Hello all of you little demons, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, back again with another not list, as it is time for another episode of These Things Suck, a format where I shorten my life considerably, where I and my neck vein Germany decide to take a skipping romp through the world that is the gaming industry, take a look at things, sip them like fine wine, spit them out and realise that what we've been basically drinking is dog diarrhea. We've covered many things in our time, but I'm afraid it is time to take one of the most beloved aspects of gaming to task today, because as much as it pains me to say, there are a lot of video game heroes that really truly suck. They're meant to be the good guys, the heroes and saviors of their world, but we have been given a fair few plum duffs to play with in our time, enough to make you want to, hop in your Skoda, drive over to the developer's house and say, this is happening, as you choke the life out of them watching their eyes pop like grapes, and then steal a bagel on the way out because it was a long drive over here. Listen, I've got to recoup the fuel money somehow. Anyway, these video game heroes, well, they absolutely suck. So let's waste no time by cracking into the cack pack, as it were, and talk about a video game hero that is so utterly unlikable, so absolutely pathetic that it makes my skin crawl just having to look at him. That's right, I'm speaking about Lester the Unlikely. Now, I'm hardly one to judge another's appearance looking like an egg that was dropped on the barbershop floor, but even I could batter the piss out of Lester, seeing as he's animated in such a way that he looks kind of damp. I mean, he's got this constant stoop and he's flopping about with his limbs. Is he made of wet bread? Because I am not a duck, and I don't like wet bread. God, I went real phlegmy there. Lester is basically that mighty number 9 anime fan on prom night joke given human form, and when it came to giving him identifiable characteristics, the developers thought for some reason that instead of heroic, brave, smart, or even witty, that they would give him the character trait of kinda sleepy. Sick. Anyway, our hero is just having a walk reading his comic books down by the docks, as you do, before he gets tired and falls asleep while dreaming about an alligator girl molting her skin. As you do, and then wakes up on a tropical island with no choice but to venture out and find a way home. And it's here that the gameplay hits you harder than both your parents divorcing and your dad telling you on the same day that he's running away with your childhood sweetheart, because this guy, this cheeky goddamn whippet, disobeys your bloody orders. When you come face to face with enemies, he'll automatically run away and shake in his boots when faced with a large jump. And for some reason, he'll just start shagging the fucking air. I literally have no idea why, but it infuriates me. Why in the living hell would I want to play a game where this is a main feature? I get that he's scared, but this is about as off-putting as if the game came bundled with a heavy smoker spitting in your face. He's not helpful in the slightest and makes even the simplest of activities an absolute chore. In fact, Lester the Unlikely is the video game equivalent of calling your fucking local council and asking for a replacement wheelie bin. It has been 8 weeks. And speaking about dumpsters of absolute trash, it is time for me to talk about the absolute bagpipe of piss that is Big the Cat. This bloated bumhole is single-handedly the reason why I gave up on the Sonic Adventure game, because after the blistering speed of the Sonic stages, to be asked to stay in one place and catch a frog seemed like it was taking the piss a bit. Now, the wiki lists Big's characteristics as laid back and carefree, which you and I both know translates to mean that he's actually a fucking moron, which, when you think about it, kind of makes sense, because the Welsh term for carrot is actually moron. Bet you didn't know that. And after playing any time as this big bloated arsehole, you'll be put into a vegetative state. And I'm not even ragging on the fishing sections themselves, because I don't actually mind the mechanics, I just hated everything else. Elsewhere in the game, I can pilot a mech suit and tear things apart, I can hunt for hidden treasure, and of course I can melt speed cameras as Sonic the Bloody Hedgehog. Now these moments, they feel exhilarating, challenging, and more pertinently, important to the overall story. So how the hell, after all of that, can you expect me to care about this gammon-brained twat whose story arc basically boils boils down to, I done lost my frog. Get a fucking container for it, mate. I am sick of finding out that Froggy's escaped your ham-fisted security measures again and gone on a jolly. And for the love of God, either buy some bloody trousers or lose the belt. It is one or the other. However, you know what? Big the Cat is a goddamn saint when compared to Bubsy. In all honesty, across my time in WhatCulture, I have tried to avoid talking about Bubsy because I loathe this character on every conceivable level, so much so that I actually find it difficult to put into words. But I'm going to try. I hate how he was manufactured by a boardroom of executives who clearly were born at the age of 40 and never anything before and have no idea what kids like and thought that cat in a jumper was an inspired design choice. I hate how his entire dialogue is comprised of stand-up material that even Andy Dick would pass on. I despise how in the original game they opted to give him the speed of Sonic but then make him die in one hit without a life buffer. I weep at the fact that the game franchise is still ongoing and still is utter shite, but worst of all, without a shadow of a doubt, is tank controls in a 3D platformer. Why? Hello, Tyler Dickhead. Yes, Jules speaking. Yes, I know. Also, buy the t-shirt, please. It's really nice, isn't it? Rich designed it. It's a really good job. Anyway, back to Rage. Bubsy is something of a mystery in that he's never released a decent game yet is still ongoing. It's like that ex that you keep letting back into your lives thinking that they've changed, but all they do is escalate the level of hell that they put you through. The first two games actually had promise, but were ruined because of their attempts to be so much like Sonic that they ended up suffering. But the moment that they gave Bubsy 3D the green light to use these graphics, that terrible control system, and of course that grating voice, that was the moment that Bubsy went too far. Everything about Bubsy 3D felt wrong, like it was purpose designed to elicit hate in those that played it. However, for as much as I hate Bubsy, he's not actually the real villain of the piece. For that honour goes to Dave, the reviewer. Who is Dave? Well, let me tell you. Dave is a reviewer from PS Extreme who gave Bubsy 3D a 93% rating and a Golden X award. Now, for years, people have been speculating that this award and the review was completely made up, which would be completely viable as a scummy move from the developers, but no, this actually exists. So Dave, I hope that you sleep comfortably on that bed of money that Accolade basically gifted to you, because thanks to your review, I reckon that a ton of extra games were sold, and therefore a ton of extra people were disappointed in having to play it, thanks to your award and your score. This game, Bubsy 3D, is not bargain basement quality. It is the fucking game that props up the wobbly leg of the bin holding the other games. I hate it with all of my being. And speaking of Dave, let's talk about other monsters in video games, because Kane and Lynch. Woof. So at some point, IO Interactive must have had a boardroom meeting, kind of something like this. I don't know why you're doing the dream transition here, Rich, because, I'm still in the same room. Do whatever you want. I've got a great idea for a video game. Okay, hit me with that fresh IP, broham. What? It's a third-person action-adventure about betrayal, bank robbery, and bloody murder. Wow, that sounds brilliant, dude. Tell me more about it. You play as Kane, a man whose wife and daughter have been kidnapped by a gang who are using them to blackmail him into robbing money for them. Okay, so it sounds like he's an ex-con who's turned into an unwilling heister-shyster. Well, kinda, in that he is a mass murderer with no morals whatsoever, and he hangs around with a guy called Lynch who is quite literally insane and will kill hostages and police at the drop of a hat. That doesn't actually seem that relatable. Oh, don't worry, we've made the bad guys that they fight against actually worse than them, so they're clearly the heroes here. No, that's not how you write heroes. You're basically just making them the lesser of two evils. That's not how it's done. Okay, I see what you're saying. Well, Kane and Lynch also hate each other, and Lynch is far worse than Kane, so Kane's clearly the hero, right? Right, yes. Well, again, what you're doing here is showcasing the lesser of two evils. Nothing remotely heroic is going on here. But Kane does rescue his daughter. Okay, see, that is pretty heroic. Before taking part in a civil war and murdering the rest of the gang. That's decidedly less so. And still, the game was made. And got a sequel, which was even worse. Now, there is some decent gameplay within Kane and Lynch, but when you're playing as two men that are so detestable, it's truly hard to root for them or care about their outcome. Now, Red Dead is a perfect example of making villains feel sympathetic because it shows the weight of their choices or outside forces escalating their need to do bad things. Here, though, it was like battling Hitler as Mussolini. One is objectively much worse than the other, but they're both fucking abhorrent. And rounding up the pack of playable pricks is Duke Nukem, which if you want my succinct thoughts on the entirety of Duke Nukem as a character, I can do so for you with the sentence, fuck Duke Nukem. He's a sleazy, backwards relic of gaming that's lost all of its edgelord charm the moment that Duke Nukem Forever took a dump on his legacy. The 13 years it took for that game to come out was enough for the entire gaming industry to change many times. And if Duke had been self-aware enough, he could have still done that macho posturing that he's so famous for if it were tongue-in-cheek. But what we got was head in arse. He's such an unlikable character in his current form because he does everything possible to push audiences away. His insistence to make fun of gaming franchises much superior to his own comes across as petty. His attempts at crude humor come across as incredibly cringy, and his superior attitude seems so out of place in a game that barely runs at 13 frames per second in places. At least with other video game sleazeballs like Leisure Suit Larry, that was a case of laughing at the character and them knowing it. But here, well, Duke was too busy playing with poo to get a bloody clue. And there we go, my friends. That was another episode of These Things Suck. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below, as well as your suggestions for future episodes, because I would like to give what makes you angry a voice. If you want to chat to me further on socials, you can do so over on Twitter at RetroJ0, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice, my personal gaming channel, where I do tons of live streams. So if you want to see me rage out in real life, then you can do so every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. I always say BM, it's BST, PM, BST. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. We detailed today a lot about heroes that couldn't cut the mustard, but you know what, my friend? In my eyes, you are a bloody hero. You are a big-ass ledge. Why? Because you deserve love, happiness, and success. Don't let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise. But I understand that sometimes we can feel like the villain in our own narratives. We can let thoughts in that make us feel like we are lesser beings. And I want to put the record straight. That is not the case. If you have made mistakes in the past, it is okay to forgive yourself. If you are worried about the future, then it is okay to seek help from others. You are not alone. You are a massive ledge, and I wish you nothing but happiness. Now go out there and smash it. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that. And I'll speak to you soon. Peace.